Short story by Paul McCann, Jenny and the Emperor's Garden. Jenny was a very quiet girl, different to other girls in primary school. The difference was her talent in creative writing and artwork. This gift she had was both appreciated and envied by her teachers and peers. Jenny was often on the outside of social groups and found it a struggle to make and to keep friends. She was a deep thinker and avoided things like sports and playground bantering and other people's company. And she found that she could always stand on the outside of the groups, observing rather than participating. The only way she could express herself was through her artwork and her writing. Her weekends were spent at home with her parents. She liked to help with little jobs around the house. There was always plenty to be done. And her mum and dad, well, they became a little bit concerned because she wasn't making any friends. And her constant desire to write and paint pictures was increasing more and more for her to stay in a room at home. One Friday evening at dinner, her dad said to Jenny, "I was just thinking about taking up some walking on Saturday mornings. So maybe, would you like to come? Jenny, what do you think?" She smiled. It took a while for her to answer. "Walking? That might be a good idea. I could see lots of things that might inspire me to write or draw something." Her dad seemed a little enthused, and he replied, "Okay then. Great. So I'll see you in the morning. Say about 7. "Sure, Dad," she said. After dinner, Jenny helped to wash up the dishes before going upstairs to her bedroom, and then she pulled over the curtains. She got changed. She opened up her wardrobe, selecting her hardly ever worn pink designer tracksuit and her silver and gold super comfortable high-tech running shoes in readiness for the next day. Then she set her alarm and jumped into bed. She had a restless sleep, thinking about this new activity on Saturday morning, and as morning came she slowly got out of bed. Jenny got dressed and opened up the curtains in her bedroom and welcomed the new day. She took a deep breath, looked at the sky. Heaven's window opened briefly as God bathed the earth with sunlight, and light sun showers descended down from the clouds that were gilded with golden fringes on the edge. Jenny tried to capture the scene with a quick sketch on a sketch pad. Her inspired work was interrupted by a knock on the door. "Jenny, are you ready for our walk?" Jenny put away her sketch and said, "I'm coming. Hang on a second." When she came out of the bedroom, her dad was running on the spot on the upstairs landing. He stopped and reached out for the banister and said, "Let's begin a warm-up. I'll give you a demo, Jenny." He got on all fours like a cat and arched up his back. Jenny tried to follow, but kind of lost her balance and rolled over on her side. "That's okay, Jenny. Stay there. Now roll over on your back and we'll do a few leg lifts. 10 on each foot should do," he said. Not long after that, they were ready to tackle the world outside. They walked out the door and made their way along the sidewalk at a brisk pace. Along the way, a few early morning joggers passed and said hello. A block or two had been tread, and her dad noticed that Jenny began to slow down, and she began to gasp for her breath. "Keep up, Jenny," he said. "Daddy, don't walk so fast," she replied. Her dad slowed down and pulled up to a stop. Jenny almost was bent over, breathing heavily. "We need to do this more often, Dad, do we?" Only when you're fit, Jenny, he said. Jenny almost laughed because between her deep breaths she was trying to talk. Just a moment. I can't. Are you not able to continue, Jenny? Her dad said. In a minute. She replied with her hands behind her head. Sorry, Jenny. I forgot you're not used to this kind of exercise. I used to walk 3 miles a day before you were born, he said. I've got a pain in my side, Dad. That's a stitch, Jenny, came the reply. What's a stitch? She asked. It just means you're not used to walking fast, he said. Will I always have a stitch, Dad? She asked. Don't be silly, Jenny. Listen, I'll go on ahead and you can go back home. I'll see you when I get back, he replied. Oh, thanks, Dad. Have a nice walk, she said. Jenny watched her dad turn on his foot and hightail it along the sidewalk like a man on a mission. Around the corner, he disappeared. Then Jenny turned around and started to make her way back home. When the stitch left, she skipped over the cracks on the pavement and started to sing a little tune she made up. The birds in the trees seemed to join in as well. The chorus of life echoed everywhere, with a song of life, love, and possibilities. The bees buzzed among the flowers, and the dogs barked at the stray cats on the prowl. Babies cried behind closed doors, and the sound of children's laughter filtered through the air. Along this sidewalk of life, Jenny walked until she spotted a few bright blown-up balloons tied to a string that hung from a fence, and it seemed to dance on the morning breeze. On the ground at the front gate were some other balloons with a huge sign that said, Garage Sale Today. Jenny had a look in as she walked past, and it looked so intriguing that she decided it was well worth further investigation. She walked up slowly the path and into the garage, and there were lots of items on display. Take as long as you need, sweetheart, said an old man sitting there in a chair. Oh, hello, said Jenny. You're up very early today, said the old man with a long grey beard. I was walking with my dad. He wants to get me fit. That's a good idea, the old man said. Jenny was pulling through some items on a table. I suppose so. How much is this? Where do you have? Yo, let me see. He stood up and looked over as Jenny held up some brushes and a paint set. Oh, you can have it, darling, for free, he said. Oh, are you sure? She asked. I've always liked to think I could encourage artists. Please use the paints and brushes. They're very special, you see. Jenny continued to pull things out of the baskets and boxes, and she held up a coloured disc-shaped stone and said, Oh, could you please tell me, sir, what this might be? It's a hopscotch stone. If you like it, please take it. There are some instructions on how to play the game. If you press down on the top of the disc, it will open up a secret compartment. We do instructions and enjoy the game. Jenny continued to look through things on display. Let me put those things you have into a box, little one, said the old man, who went over with a backpack and placed all of the items she had chosen inside the backpack. An old tin box fell out of the backpack onto the floor, and a gold key fell out as the lid came off the tin box. Jenny lifted the key and handed it back to the old man. Oh, congratulations, my dear. You have been selected to go to the Emperor's garden, he said. What? Jenny said. You have been chosen, my dear. Don't question. Just follow your feelings to what awaits. In the backpack, here, you have everything you will need for the journey. Trust your innocence, my child, and experience a magical, enchanted land that awaits you beyond that doorway. He pointed to the door at the corner of the garage. Jenny was entranced. She almost floated to the door. She placed the golden key into the lock and the door opened. She looked back to say goodbye, but the old man was gone. The door closed behind her, and on the other side she discovered a beautiful garden with hedged pathways, water fountains, and music softly playing in the background. Right around the edge of the garden was a high wall with some statues of winged creatures that lined along a pathway to a gate. In the wall, suddenly a large bird flew down from a tree and landed on Jenny's shoulder and walked along her arm. Jenny lifted up her arm and looked at the bird. It was similar to a peacock, but without any colour on its tail. "Can you paint my tail?" said the bird. "Amazing, you can talk," Jenny replied. "Yes, I do, and so do you." "Now, will you please paint colours on my tail?" the bird said. "Just be patient," Jenny said. Suddenly she remembered about the paints and brushes that she had been given by the old man in the garage sale. So she opened up her bag and was soon busy working away, swishing her brushes back and forth along the bird's tail feathers. When she had finished, the bird was so proud of its tail. Each feather had a different colour. The bird lifted its tail and began to sing the most beautiful song. With that, a pony came running and jumping over the high wall and landed there in front of Jenny's feet. The bird thanked Jenny and flew off into the air. And the pony said, "I didn't know peacocks could fly." "What beautiful colours you give to the peacock's tail. Could you paint my tail too?" "Sure, little pony," said Jenny. And Jenny began to paint the pony's tail with every colour that she had in the box. It looked like a rainbow when she had finished. The pony knelt down before Jenny and asked her to climb onto its back. Jenny gave a scream of delight when the little pony galloped off around and around the garden and jumped over the high wall. And on the other side of the garden wall, fruit trees stood with their branches weighed down heavily with every kind of fruit imaginable. "Help yourself," said the pony as it took Jenny all around the orchard. Jenny plucked a pear here and there and shared it with the bear who lived there in the tree, and then the three ate some plums and nuts before a large white swan came gliding down to the ground where they stood. "The Emperor would like to see you now," said the swan. "Me?" Jenny asked. "Yes, right away. So climb on my back." Jenny did as she was told, and the white swan flew over the lake that stretched out to a small island that held a temple cradled there within its boundaries. "Who lives in there?" Jenny asked. "That is where the Emperor lives," the swan replied. "Can I visit him?" she asked. "Of course. Can you play hopscotch?" said the swan. Jenny remembered that she had been given a disc with instructions from the old man in the garage. And as the swan landed gracefully outside the temple, she opened up the bag and took out the disc, and she pressed the top, and it opened up, and she took out the instructions of how to play hopscotch. As she read through the instructions, the swan flapped its huge wings and then flew away into the sky. Jenny waved and the swan returned and said, "To make the temple door open, you must play the game on the path. The temple door will open when the final number is thrown." The path was coloured stepping stones with a number on each of those, and Jenny pressed the top of the stone and she started to read again the instructions of how to play hopscotch. So start at the beginning and throw your age. Oh, so then she chose her age and she threw the stone, and without taking a breath, then she read the next instruction. Subtract 2 and up to that number without taking a breath. So she subtracted 2 and then she didn't take a breath. Or was that 3? Or, I don't know, I think it was 3. She subtracted 3 and then she read further. Each time you throw, you must not breathe when you're hopping. To reach the end of the path, you must throw at least 3 even numbers before the door will open. She had about 4 goes, and finally she had the luck of the stone. When the disc in her hand started to play a little tune, eventually she knew she had completed the game when the temple door opened up. Inside was a garden and another beautiful temple. Jenny made her way in through another door where beautiful flowers were draped out from the window boxes on ledges that sat around the perimeters of the temple walls. She saw a suitcase and a staircase, and the staircase wound itself around and around, upwards and from the garden to another door with 2 statues of lions placed outside. She tried to lift the suitcase, but it was too heavy, so she left it there. And Jenny made her way up the staircase, and as she approached the huge doorway, the 2 lions standing there came to life, and they said,
"Well, could you not lift the suitcase?"
No, it's too heavy. Why?"
"Well, you leave all your excess baggage in life. That's what you did." "You did leave your suitcase of excess baggage, right?"
"Yes, I did," said Jenny. The other lion said,
"Have you painted a peacock's tail?"
"Yes, I did," said Jenny.
And the other lion asked, "And painted a pony's tail?"
"Why, yes, I have,"
she said.
The lions fired question after question.
"Did you share a pair with a bear?"
"Yes."
"And ride a wild swan?"
"Yes."
"And play hopscotch all the way without stopping for a breath?"
"Yes."
"Did you walk through the emperor's garden?"
"Yes."
"Then you may pass, and enter through the door to see the emperor," said the lions.
The double doors opened up, and Jenny walked inside. Once she was inside, she saw the old man there in the corner of the chair, on the table, in the garage where she had just gone in from.
"Hello, my precious one. Did you enjoy my garden?"
"I saw so many things," she said.
"Well, then, you must come back again another day. I will have another garage sale very soon. Keep your eyes open the next time you are out for an early morning walk."
"Thank you for letting me see your garden. So, you must be the emperor."
"Yes. Can I have my key back, please?"
the old man said. Jenny handed back the golden key from the backpack, and she said, "Thank you again for letting me into your beautiful garden."
"Please, come again. And keep the brushes and paints. They are for you to paint a picture of everything you've seen in my garden today.
Jenny put her hand on her head and started to think. There's so many beautiful things.
Goodbye now. Come back again.
She started to walk out of the garage into the street, where she met her dad on his way back home. Jenny, aren't you home yet? Not yet, Dad, she replied. What on earth have you been doing? He said. Well, Dad, actually, I don't know if it was on Earth or wherever. Where did you get the backpack? Her dad asked. From the Emperor, Dad. From who? The Emperor, the old man in the garage sale there. He gave it to me. Jenny turned around, pointing it to the house, but there was no house there. All it was an empty block of land. Oh, Jenny, sometimes I think you're living in another world, you know. Oh, well, Dad, maybe I am. Can I race you home? They both ran all the way along the sidewalk until they reached their front door. When the weekend was over, Jenny finished the picture of the Emperor's garden and everything she had seen. And she placed the canvas in her room, along with some of her other wonderful paintings. The end.